Good evening. This is the February 22nd meeting of the Revere City Council. Madam Clerk, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call of the members. Councilor Guanasso.
Here.
Here. Councilor Haas.
Here.
Here. Councilor Keefe.
Here.
Here. Councilor McKenna.
Here.
Here. Councilor Morbido is absent. Councilor Novoselsky. Here. Councilor Patch.
Here.
Here. Councilor Powers.
Here.
Here. Councilor Rotundo is absent. Councilor Zambudo.
Here.
Here. And Council President Janino.
Here.
Here. Quorum is present.
Madam President,
Councilor Guanasso.
a point of personal privilege.
Absolutely.
Madam President, members of the council, guests in the audience, a very sad occasion happened this past week where the city of Revere lost the former First Lady of our city, Maureen Reinstein, after suffering many months of battle courageously with cancer. I would ask that in her memory that we all stand and rise for the occasion in a moment of silence. And while we do that, Madam President, we also lost a member of our Board of Appeals, Mr. John Cammarata's dad, Johnny Shoes Cammarata. And we also ask that you rise on the occasion in memory of him also. Thank you. Thank you.
Approval of the journal of the meeting of January 25th, 2016.
So moved.
Calendar item number 1, Mayor Arrigo will brief the council relative to his first term agenda items.
Mayor Arrigo.
Thank you, Madam President. Good evening, Council President Janino, Vice President Morbido, honored councilors, Speaker DeLeo, Representative Vincent, Representative Livingstone, and my fellow residents of the city of Revere. It is my honor to address you tonight as a newly elected mayor of this great city. Every one of the last 48 days I have been in office has brought new challenges, but each day has also given me a chance to reflect on how fortunate I am to be serving the city we all love. Together, as a community, we have the opportunity to seize upon this important moment in Revere's history and re-energize this city. It is a privilege to be in this office as we strive to achieve the potential we all know Revere has. The last 7 weeks have been fast-paced as my administration begins to assess and tackle the significant challenges that face our city. I stand before you, the residents of this great city, to outline my agenda for the coming months and years. First and foremost, it is paramount that we all come together as a city. It was a difficult and at times contentious election. We are also not far removed from the discord of the casino debate. We need to put these issues behind us and unite as one community. I have focused since January 5th on implementing policies that move us towards this goal. I've instituted an open door policy promising a transparent and accessible city government for all of Revere's residents. The mayor's office is now open every Thursday night, giving residents a chance after hours to meet with me and my staff regarding any issue or concern. Now, many of the people who have come to my office hours have actually gone out of their way to mention that they didn't vote for me. I actually appreciate, it is funny, I actually appreciate that residents feel comfortable enough to say this to me, because that probably wouldn't have been the case with another administration. But as I have said repeatedly, my goal is to represent everyone to the best of my abilities. We are one community, and I encourage all residents to reach out to me with ideas, suggestions, and even critiques. Government is at its best when it is responsive to the needs of residents, and that is exactly what my administration aims to be each and every day. The residents of this city demand a lot of us as elected officials, and rightfully so. They've entrusted us with the responsibility of leading through numerous challenges and delivering on the promise of a brighter future. I take this responsibility very seriously, and I have several priorities that my administration plans on addressing so we can do better by our community. Good government starts with fostering a safe and professional work environment. It also starts with making sure the city can attract the best and the brightest. We will continue to create a professional environment at City Hall that not only retains gifted employees, but also attracts talented professionals. For far too long, holding a political sign or putting a bumper sticker on one's car mattered more than qualifications. That is no more. We must hire the best and brightest outside of any undue political influence. The days when he's a good guy was considered a legitimate reason to hire an employee, forgive poor performance, award a city contract, or overlook egregious violations are over. Revere's residents deserve more than lip service on ending these decades-long practices. That is why I am committed to establishing a professional human resources department. This is crucial to ensure that basic workplace policies and performance standards are in place and consistently applied across the board. As I stand before you right now, I can say that there are no written standards or protocols, very few job descriptions, and a lack of understanding what the core mission of city government is. I cannot say this enough. We are here to serve the residents efficiently and in a professional manner. These fundamentals will instill confidence in our residents, making sure that everyone receives the best service, regardless of their family name, gender, or ethnicity. My pledge to residents tonight is that we will, with the council's cooperation, realize this important goal. Together, bringing the city's budget under control and making sure it mirrors taxpayer priorities is a necessity. Our initial projections show that we have inherited a mid-year budget shortfall of approximately $2 million. On top of this deficit, our school department will face serious budget challenges for the next fiscal year. While we plan to roll up our sleeves and tackle these budget challenges, we need to do everything we can to make sure that we deliver the top-notch services for the lowest cost. Any public official knows how difficult it is to meet high standards on a constrained budget. But that is our responsibility as public servants. We were elected to deliver the most efficient city services possible, and that's what we will strive to do. I will continue to evaluate every city department and identify opportunities for savings and efficiencies. I will also establish policies aimed at eliminating waste, such as unjustified overtime, improper hiring, select raises for the chosen few, inconsistent procurement procedures, and unstructured IT and telecom services. We will implement best practices, ensuring that infrastructure and capital cost overruns are the exception and not the rule. Our fellow residents have seen their taxes and water bills go up exponentially in recent years without a corresponding improvement in city services. We have to be mindful of public funds, constantly reminding ourselves that this public money is to be used for the good of the entire community. Another challenge we face is the opioid epidemic that continues to ravage the entire Commonwealth. And we've been plagued by a resurgence of overdose deaths. In 2015, Revere was number 2 in the state in per capita overdose deaths. Quite simply, this is unacceptable. We have dedicated and talented public servants who are working tirelessly to fight this epidemic. From our brave public safety men and women who administer life-saving Narcan and remove the drug dealers from our streets, to groups like Revere Cares, working with MGH to leverage city and MGH resources on preventative measures, to the work done in our schools, educating our children, and so many more of the unsung heroes, like the people at North Suffolk Mental Health Association, who work on the front lines with addicts. There is so much good work being done in Revere in battling the opioid crisis. Unfortunately, this work has been too siloed. There has not been adequate leadership to make sure that all of these efforts are part of an effective, comprehensive strategy to fight drug addiction in our city. I am committed to making sure this happens. We will reactivate the city's opioid task force and bring together various stakeholders in the coming weeks and redouble our efforts to make sure we fight this scourge. In addition to addressing immediate, short-term challenges, we must also play the long game and think comprehensively about what Revere should look like in the future. With the dreams of free-flowing casino cash gone up in flames, we need to act swiftly and judiciously. We must put the right building blocks in place to make sure that our city thrives organically. We must seize upon the opportunity, bring meaningful, thoughtful, and right-sized commercial development to our city. Development that will create jobs for our residents, while also mitigating the tax burden shouldered by our homeowners. In recent years, we've seen a patchwork of projects, but we're long overdue for a comprehensive city plan. A real public visioning and planning process requires hundreds of hours of community input and staff analysis to lay out a roadmap for the future. We must collectively shape our destiny. That requires looking holistically at everything: jobs, infrastructure, open space, zoning. We are fortunate to have 3 MBTA stations on the most reliable subway line. We have America's first public beach, a beautiful asset that we need to continue to leverage to our advantage. We have incredible diversity that should be celebrated and cherished. We have one of the best urban public school systems in the state. And we have a fantastic community with tight-knit neighborhoods and families that have chosen to lay down roots here for generations. Our job now is to make sure these families stay. We have to emphasize the many good things that make Revere a great place. My goal has always been to foster the belief that this is a place where families should be, where people want to raise their children. I want people to feel like there's something here for them, to not feel like they need to move out in order to get what they want for themselves and their families. Together, we can achieve this goal and reinvent the image of Revere while staying true to all of the good things that make Revere special. This process starts with transforming and professionalizing our city government. The challenge is on all of us to make that happen. Madam President, thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I also wanted to take a moment to thank some representatives from our school committee that are here, School Committee Woman Stacy Rizzo, School Committeeman Dan McGuire, as well as former Councilor Correggio, and thank the members from our state delegation, Speaker DeLeo, Representative Vincent, and Representative Livingstone for taking the time out of your schedules to be here with us tonight, and for that address, Mr. Mayor, thank you.
Calendar item number 2, a representative from Revere Adult Day Healthcare Center has been summoned to appear before the City Council to answer questions relative to alleged violations at 765 Revere Beach Parkway.
Counselor?
Okay. Reboot. Madam President, honorable members, James Cipolletta, 385 Broadway, Revere, on behalf of Revere Adult Day Healthcare Center. With me is the owner, Vicki Vinoker, and we are here in response to a notice under the date of 26 January 2016 to appear before the City Council with regard to a discussion of allegations of illegal paving on the sidewalk at 765 Revere Beach Parkway, which happens to be the address of the daycare center, adult daycare center. So, Madam President, if it is the pleasure of the council to ask Vicki questions, or I think it might be more appropriate because it would appear that the council has a little bit more information, and information is coming in from DCR, I believe, as we speak. The clerk was good enough to hand me a copy of a letter that was addressed to the owner of the building, and it should be noted that Vicki nor the board members of the adult daycare center own the building. They are lessees. The owner is here as well to address the order of taking that was recorded at the Registry of Deeds. I believe it was 1959, and he had purchased the building somewhere about 10 or 12 years ago. So he's here to address those questions. Anything else with regard to the operation of the center, we would be happy to address with the council or with you, Madam President.
Thank you. If it's the will of the council, maybe we should start at one end and just work our way down, because I'm sure that there are many councilors that wish to speak on this. All right, so we'll start with Councilor McKenna, the maker of the motion, and then bounce back to Councilor Guanasso, who's helped you, or the second on the motion, and then work our way down. Councilor McKenna.
Okay, so first, I would like to say that I'm not here to disable this facility, but we do have a couple of issues that we need to deal with, okay? I have had many calls from residents about the facility and what's happening in the facility. And so Rosalie Vincent, Representative Rosalie Vincent and I went down in October, and we witnessed 4 violations. And I'd like to tell you about these. Okay, so the first violation was there was 4 transportation trucks on your facility that weren't registered, okay? You only can have 1 if that's the law, is that right? So you only can have 1. There were 4 large transportation vehicles on your property without license plates. So I called Nick Catanazzo to square that away. I think he did. Now you only have, I think the last time I went there, you had 2 that weren't registered, okay? 2 registered in the back that weren't registered, okay? So that wasn't squared away. The second thing is that there was a sidewalk, and we have the plans from the DCR, that there was a sidewalk in front of that facility. It is now paved over with asphalt, and it's been widened as a driveway, okay? So residents are concerned because what's happening is you're parking these big transportation vehicles side by side, which does not allow residents to walk by that facility. So what they're doing is they're walking out in the middle of Revere Beach Parkway. Before there is a disaster, okay, before someone gets hit because you don't know what's going to happen, we need to solve this problem. You cannot, if there was an emergency and a fire apparatus had to pull through there, they wouldn't be able to get through because of the fact that you have these two large vehicles parked side by side in front of your doorway. The fourth thing that I'd like to address is that you do, I think I talked to you, you said you had 5 spaces, I talked to someone, 5 spaces on, in the skating rink, which, no, it wasn't, yes? Okay,
No,
but
it
do you
wasn't.
have that?
We have more.
You have one.
No, we have more space.
Okay, you have more spaces. Well, when I was walking around Mill Street, Vinyl Street, Wilson Street, I witnessed your employees parking in front of residential houses, leaving their car there, and talking to the residents. They told me that they're parked there for 5, 6, 7 hours, and people that don't have, I witnessed a pregnant woman trying to park in front of her house with groceries, and she couldn't because I saw one of your employees park in front of this person's house and then walk around to your facility. So these are issues. I'm not trying to close you down, and I'm not trying to be the bad guy here, but my concern is my constituents. And my constituents are not happy with your facility, and especially where whatever happened to that sidewalk, because there was a sidewalk there, and now there's nothing. And they have to walk out into the street to get around your facility. That's my main concern about this whole thing. That's it. Thank you.
Madam President.
Councilor Guanasso.
Madam President, what we have before us this evening is something that's been going on for several years now, and back to the days when they didn't allow an individual in there because they couldn't speak Spanish. And that's what tripped me off drastically. That person has since passed away. But there's been a chronological buildup to the frustration of the city council. Yes, this is in violation, and we have the Assistant General Counsel from the Attorney General's and the DCR telling us that they want to correct that situation. They want you to correct that, and we understand you have copied on this, and you're going to do that. And we willingly accept your cooperation. As was stated by Councilor McKenna, we're not in the business of closing down businesses. We're not. This is not our job up here. Our job here is simply to allow businesses to flourish within our community, but yet at the same time be good neighbors to our community, our residents who live here. It's a very, very simple request, not an outrageous demand. It's a simple request. As Councilor McKenna stated just a few moments ago, it's very inconsiderate of an individual who knows they're going to go work for 5, 6, 8 hours a day to park in front of someone's home. Disallowing that individual to not only park their own cars there, but to have any guests within their household. That's not being neighborly. Parking on sidewalks, and on many occasions, we have documentation that these vehicles traversing in that area were parked on the sidewalk, all going to the Adult Care Center, not going to other places, going there. And we just ask simply for your cooperation. Now, we know now, we've been given a definition as to who the authority is who takes action against these type of establishments. We now know it's the zoning official within our community who's the building inspector. So if in fact there's zoning violations, we will take our concerns to him, and he will answer to us, and then he will make his actions, and he will determine if in fact this is illegal within our community, not being good neighbors. So again, we're just praying upon you to be cooperative with the neighbors, to show a spirit of cooperation, and end this once and for all. This latest violation that occurred, that brought DCR's attention to it, is a flagrant violation. I mean, that really stems, and what it does is it gives you the history of how the Adult Care Center and its management became disrespectful to law. They had no boundaries of law. They had no awareness of law, not any care of law. But we have a standard that we have to live by, and we're going to uphold you to these standards. We're asking you again to please be good neighbors. Please serve our community, serve your clients and your patients that come in there seeking your necessary help that you need to offer to them. But don't take this effort and place it upon the area residents. That's not the proper way to do business. It's not neighborly, and it's not even nice. It's a not nice value to have, especially in a caring outfit that cares for adult seniors who need your help. So that's what we're pleading for, and I would suggest that, 3 strikes and you're out. I would suggest to the Madam President and the Ward 1 Councilor that this is the last determination. After that, I would seek revocation of that special permit through the proper source, which we now know is the zoning authority, the building inspector, and we'd go from there. But, we've been given a latitude here that's beyond belief. Now we ask the spirit of cooperation from you and your willingness to help with just our need to make our city the quality of life that it should be. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilor Guanasso. Councilor Haskell, Councilor Novoselsky.
Thank you, Madam President. This issue has been up before the City Council 3 or 4 times. It originally started with the former Ward 1 Councilor, Richard Penta, and that's a couple of years ago, all right? When you repaved the sidewalk, no building permit was pulled on that, right? Yep. You got a building permit? No, but I'm talking about the sidewalk. Yeah. And the thing is, we've been going over this issue, time in, time out. And I agree with the counselor, okay? We'll give another chance, okay? It serves a lot of people, a lot of needy people who use your services. When I go down Route 16, I see the vans pulling in between 2 and 3 o'clock. Some of them have to wait in Route 16 to get in because you're so busy. So I don't know if you have a scheduling issue there that could be altered. And the other thing is, people park on the sidewalks down the street. People in front of their homes cannot park there. You people park there. And I think something has to be done. People have to take a more concerted effort to make sure these issues are resolved once and for all, and not have another counselor 6 months down the road bring up the issue. I think it should be resolved once and for all. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Haskell. Councilor Novoselsky.
Thank you, Madam President. I agree with my prior colleagues and their comments about not closing down a facility such as this. And based on the letter we got from our legal counsel, there is a process. And, I've been by there many, many times, and I have seen the double vehicles parked there. Honestly, having been in facility management for all these years, honestly, I didn't see a problem. If they repaved the sidewalk over, it makes it easier for people to walk, but that be the issue, that people could not walk. I sort of remember when we first gave you your license or the permit to operate there, that we had asked you not to park in the front of the building. I have that in the back of my mind, that we asked in the front of the building not to park for 2 reasons, and it may not have been a condition, so just for council, it may not be on there, but I remember someone stating that we asked you not to park vehicles in the front of the building for 2 reasons. Number 1, for people walking, and number 2, for fire issues, because the way you park your vehicles in front of the building, a fire engine cannot get in there to get any action if there was a fire or an ambulance to have to get in there, because now they probably have to use the side of the building or either side. Now, when you first came on board, you didn't have the whole building, because the other part of the building was occupied by somebody else, and now you have all these vehicles, and I've seen those vans parked there. I don't know if there were plates on them or not, but, Councilor McKenna would know better than that. But you have 6 or 7 vans, if I'm correct, that I've seen parked on the side and the front, those vans, and I've seen them in the middle of the day, should not be parked there, as far as I'm concerned. They should be parked there for people visiting and clients and your staff. Now, vans weren't even in consideration when we first came on board with this program that I can remember. It was never ever mentioned. But I know we have to have probable cause to withdraw something. And I would even ask on behalf of Councilor McKenna and Councilor Guanasso that we ask the fire inspector to go in there and make sure that everything is up to code, and that we ask the building inspector to go in there and make sure everything is up to code inside the building. So that's what I would say, but I know we need probable cause, as I stated, but, you know, I'm not happy as far as I'm concerned. You're on 3 strikes now. This is the 3rd time you're here. Actually, it's the 4th time since you got your the license, but I see DCR sent a letter in there, you know, telling you not to double park in front of the building. That's basically what they say. And I'd say, I'm not happy. You know, I know that there are elderly people that need your facility for work, and some disabled, but I am totally unhappy with the process and what's been going on down there. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Patch.
Thank you, Madam President. I agree with my fellow colleagues that just spoke, especially to my right here. I agree with him the most, because this is the 3rd time that I've been a counselor, and I think I've been here from the beginning, that we've been overgenerous towards you, mainly because of your clients and their disability and their elderly. But as far as I was ready tonight. I was hoping that we could vote that we could close you. I listened to you say you're going to do things. This is the 3rd time that you're going to do them, and I don't believe you. I don't think you're going to do them. And we're going to have the same problem again. And first of all, I want to know how many clients do you have?
We average about 110 to 150. Our
110?
license capacity is 150, but we have about 110 on a daily basis.
And how many of those are from Revere?
About 1/3 of them,
About 1/3.
yes, average.
Are there any English-speaking
We did have
clients?
I can tell you right now, we did have a couple of clients from Revere. We did have some private pay clients from Revere that are English speaking. I'm not sure at this time, but we on and off have. And we have some clients that are speaking other languages as well.
Right.
Yeah, so
It's not totally Spanish-speaking.
all of our staff is bilingual.
And your staff is bilingual?
Absolutely.
Because that wasn't the case the last time you were here.
We've always had bilingual staff.
Well, that's not what, I believe that wasn't stated before. There wasn't. But anyways, you know, I remember what we went through the last time. Are you still parking cars on Taft Street in the back of your building? The back of your building, Taft Street.
They made me aware, through
Well,
the chair, to Council DePatch. The program director made me aware of one person who does park there. Her sister lives on that street, and they share a car. And
Well, I mean, the last time they were up here, that was a problem with the neighbors on Taft Street. And they said they were not going to park cars on Taft Street, and they have. I mean, they keep telling us they're going to do things, and they don't do it. It's obvious you can't be putting all these vans there, and you can't have employees parking there, and it's just not fair to the neighborhood. You know, it's, Jimmy, you know, it's just, we've heard it twice, this is the third time. Now, she still doesn't know about a third, about this. No facts, we get no facts. It's always, you know, they tell us what we want to hear.
We
And when
do
we
have
come
the-
back,
we have
we have
two-
the same problems over and over.
Right, we do have the on-site person who's there on a day-to-day basis, who's probably more familiar, because Vicky runs other
Well, where
centers.
is that person?
She's here.
Oh.
But
Well,
Vicky
why didn't
was,
she answer the questions?
because Vicky was the one who was requested to be here. So any question that you might have of Claudia, she'd be happy to answer. Because
no.
if they're the day-to-day questions, she can
Are
certainly
they,
answer
are they
them.
still holding functions there?
No, sir.
No functions?
The only functions that we have is just for the patients, during the day. Yeah, sometimes.
Nothing at nighttime?
No.
I just, you know, we really want to be good neighbors. And we want you to be good neighbors. And, you know, now, bear with me. I mean, this is the third time. And we gave you the courtesy the last two times. And you think we're being unfair here? Because I don't. And I think we're being actually probably too fair by letting it slide again. I really do. But I guess we're a little, there's not much we can do about it at this time. But I tell you, you gotta start listening to us. I mean, this is the third time.
May I?
Go ahead.
Okay, we are trying to be the best neighbors, but you have to understand that we also have employees that lives in Revere. And they feel that the rights are violating too, because they are not allowed to park in Revere, and they live in Revere. So, and we have 6 employees that are from Revere that works in the center. So it's like a conflict there. What do we do? We even have a letter when we contract them that says that they are not allowed to drive through Tufts Street of Mill Street or park around the building. And they don't even want to sign that letter because they feel that we are violating their rights. They live in Revere. They're citizens from Revere. What do we do? Tell me, give me an answer. What do we do about that? Because I have my assistant, her sister lives in Tufts Street. And as Jeremy said, they share the car. And what do we do there? I mean, so she can't leave the car there. She uses her car during the day. And this has been since ever, not since the time that she started working there. But what do we do about that?
Well, that was the problem the last time. We told you, I mean, at first, it probably wasn't the right place to put your type of business into, first of all.
But it's there. I mean,
It's there. We let you go in there, but you had to go in there with conditions. There was conditions that we at the site plan review, that you agreed to. We didn't do it, the site plan review did it. So, you know, you agreed to do that. Then we were in this, that was the first time. Then the second time you come back, you violated the conditions. So you agreed again to go along with the conditions. And here we are tonight. So what I'm saying is, you knew, that's no excuse, you agreed not to have your employees parked behind the building. So that was a condition. So I don't know what you know, I mean, this is you got an agreement with the skating rink across the way for parking places?
yes, we do. We have an agreement and we have a shuttle. We actually bought a specific shuttle that takes employees every half an hour, every 15 minutes. We have a dedicated car, we have a dedicated driver. So all 99% of our employees, except maybe the girl that shares the car, are parking at the skate rink. We have a minivan that we purchased right after the meeting, and we did exactly what we promised.
Well, I can just suggest that maybe you ought to get some more, am I taking too much time? I'm sorry.
I think a couple of your colleagues have points of information that you're
Oh.
bringing up before we continue to other counselors, so.
Okay, well, I'm gonna cut mine short. I just, maybe the last suggestion is the vans, which is a big problem. You're gonna have to get rid of the vans. Maybe if you can find a place to park them during the daytime, you're gonna have to go with the conditions that you agreed on when we allowed you to open up the place. And that's the bottom line. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
Point of information, please, Madam
McKenna.
President. When did this occur, this parking agreement that you had with the skating rink?
Right after the last meeting we had, when we were notified that we cannot park on Mill Street, right away, we made sure that we went to the skating rink, and we did this. So I believe it was around March or April of 2014.
Last year?
2014.
Okay, so I was walking around in November, and I was on Taft Street talking to a neighbor, and I witnessed one of your employees parking on Taft Street, all right, leaving her car, walking to your facility, and that's when I saw this pregnant woman trying to park in front of her house with groceries, and she had a double park, no driveway, and she couldn't park there. So she left her she went into the house, dropped her groceries off, and then parked somewhere else. I just want to ask you a question, because I have parking issues in front of my house all the time. Would you like someone to park in front of your house for 8 hours and leave their car there?
Absolutely not.
Right, okay. And if you're running a business, whether the person lives in Revere or not, for those 8 hours or 6 hours, they're in your business. So they have no business parking in front of someone else's house, even though they come from Revere. I'm sorry. So you have not complied to what you were supposed to do, because your employees are still parking in front of residential areas. So you really haven't complied to what you were supposed to do, because I witnessed it myself in November of 2015.
Thank you, Councilor McKenna. Councilor Keefe.
Thank you, Madam President. I have a few questions, ma'am, for the person running the daycare. How many employees do you have on a typical shift?
30.
30 employees?
Yes.
And how many spots do you have at the rink?
Around 30.
Around 30. So it's pretty clear that you have enough spots for the number of employees for a full shift. And just so you understand, I work in a large business that has a lot of parking restrictions. We work with large-scale properties, Simon Malls, et cetera. Regardless if the employee lives in the city of the mall, during busy seasons or during certain agreements, if we make an agreement, the mall would regulate where the employees park. Obviously, giving right to the customers, the people that are going to be paying to keep the businesses afloat. In this case, we have residents that live in the city that have a lot of needs, and we want to make sure that we're taking care of them. So we want to be considerate to those neighbors and the residents, and that's part of the agreement that we all made. So if there's 30 spots and you have 30 employees on a max for a regular shift, I think it's pretty simple to say it's a reasonable request to park in the rink. You're not violating anyone's rights. I don't think there's I don't think you're being a mean boss either. I think you're doing your job. I think you manage your property like you should, and you should be able to have the authority to handle that with your associates. So I would expect as a leader in your property, you'd be able to handle that, correct?
Yes, sir.
And that's all we're asking you to do. We're not being mean. We don't want to be anti-business in the city council. We want to, like Mr. Guanasso and the rest of the council says, we want you to thrive. But we want your employees, if they're not respecting you as a boss, they're clearly not respecting the city or the city council. Okay? And I think a story, something like my relative shares a car with me, but they don't live on the same address, that's not a good, that wouldn't be a good answer. I wouldn't expect that from one of my associates. And I'm not saying that you're not doing your job, but I would probably look back at them and say, really? We have a spot across the street in the rink. It's a nice area. They plow it. You don't have to worry about shoveling out in the winter. You could just gently walk across the street. It's some good exercise. Great?
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Keefe. Councilor Powers.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I'm just sick and tired of the rhetoric up here time after time after time, with a complete disregard for the residents in that area. Maybe what the ward councilor needs to do is go before the traffic commission and ask for resident parking down there. That might solve the problem. Maybe you have to increase your satellite parking. You say you're providing a service for elderly people, and perhaps you are, but you're providing a disservice for the residents in that area, and they do not deserve it. And, as a matter of fact, you're probably providing a disservice in some sense to the people you supposedly serve down there. I've gone by there. You don't even have, what I can see is a fire lane there. You go to CVS, you go to any of these large stores, they have a fire lane. That thing is just jammed with vehicles all the time. And God knows if there was ever a fire down there, how you'd get apparatus in there and fire rescue equipment to service those people. As a matter of fact, I'm going to request that Mr. Manor from the Fire Department, Fire Prevention Division, go down there and take a look and see just what you do need for parking down there. Maybe they have to be marked off more clearly. You can't have elderly people, some of who are disabled, in a building when you can't properly get fire apparatus in there to service them. So that's my main concern, in addition to the concern for the residents. So again, I'm going to recommend to the councilor that perhaps you look into putting resident parking in that area down there, and that would clearly be a remedy for the residents. And I think the remedy for the people that that building serves would be to have fire prevention get down there and take a look and define exactly what you do need for parking on that property. Maybe the property is too small for the people you serve down there. If so, then it shouldn't be. I'm sorry. You know, we get people come in here every day and every meeting, and they want to open this type of business or that type of business, and we hold them right to the rule with regard to parking. Well, this is no different. In fact, this could be more critical, an emergency with disabled people in that building, with not allowing fire apparatus to get there in a proper manner. Thank you, Madam Chairman, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilor Powers. Councilor Zambudo.
Thank you, Madam President. I go back to when this place opened, and I was with my dear friend, the late, great Richard Penter, and we spent a lot of time with you people. We bent over backwards for you people because we wanted this use. It was a great use for senior citizens. And we've gotten slapped in the face since day one. I've been down there several times. I don't know how many hours I've spent sitting trying to mitigate this problem. Here we are, I don't know how many years later. How many years have you been open there?
Since 2011.
5 years. So for 5 years, we've had problem after problem. It started with the parking on Taft Street. Now, I'm going to say right off the bat, you probably need to rent another 6 or 7 spaces at the skating rink because I'm not going to tolerate this parking stuff anymore. And by saying that, what I mean is I'll lead the charge to revoke the special permit if you don't conform this time. I'll lead the charge. And anybody that knows me, I've been up here a long time, when I lead the charge on something, it gets done. So you're at risk of losing your business. I'm telling you that right now. So I don't want to ever see another car parked on that front section where the DCR is telling you to, you've encroached on their property. So under no circumstances should anything, that should be, as my colleague to my right said, that should be a fire lane. God forbid there was a fire there. There's no place for the apparatus to get in there. There should be nothing parked in front of that building, nothing at all. That should simply be a fire lane. I'm going to hold you to that. As far as, you know, that one person, I wouldn't have a problem if one person lived on Taft Street that worked in your building. Is that what you're saying? That a person lives on Taft Street? I don't think we can keep her from parking in front of her house, but that's one person, okay? You know, there's very little parking on that street. If the person lives there, I wouldn't have a problem with them parking their car. But no other employee of yours should even park in your premises or anywhere near there. They should all be at the rink, and all those other spots should be either for your service vans or whatever they are. But I'm telling you, I'm going to go by there frequently, and if I see cars in front of that, what I consider a fire lane, then we're going to have a real problem. You know, I haven't had a lot of noise complaints like we were having mostly. I think I'm keeping my fingers crossed that we have finally solved that problem and we're not annoying the neighbors, except for when there's vans and stuff left where they shouldn't be. So I think if I'm you, I leave here tonight with a message from this city council that they're ready to pull your special permit. It may take us some effort to do that, but we can certainly do it. I would leave here and say, let's comply, let's bend over backwards. Let's not have a car ever in front there. Let's not have any of our employees ever make a mistake and park where they're not supposed to park. Let's be good neighbors, and we'll all get along. We understand that the use is good for needy citizens, senior citizens. That's why we bent over backwards to bring you here, because we knew it was a great use. But a great use doesn't mean that we can be terrible neighbors and we can inconvenience everybody. Or we can break fire rules, or we can, you know, we can break safety things, or we can encroach on DCR property. Those are not things that we can do. So that's where I'm coming from here, and your legal representation knows me very well, and he knows when I say something, I mean what I say, and I say what I mean, and I do what I say I'm going to do. So that's where I'm leaving it with you. I'm begging you to cooperate, do the right thing, and we won't see you up here anymore, and all we can say is, Jesus, look at how nice that's working out down there. That's what I want to have happen after tonight. Thank you. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilor Zambuto. Attorney Cipolletta?
Yes, Madam President. Just for about 2 minutes to put a fine point on this and to relay to the council that we certainly do understand. Some of the things that, and I've had conversations with Councilor McKenna, who I know very well, and my good friend Councilor Guanasso, who have raised these concerns, as did Councilor Hass to me, within the last 3 weeks. So when these were brought to our attention, you know, I guess with any business, whether it's profit or nonprofit, whether it's a service or retail or a commercial or otherwise, you get some good and you get some bad. I think that the council in its wisdom did the right thing when it granted the special permit, because the good vastly outweighs the bad in this situation, given the services that are provided to the elderly and those who are suffering from disabilities. Are there some bad? Yeah, there are. And we try to deal with them in the most reasonable way. Sometimes it's not done as quickly as some of the department heads would like, and we admit that. Sometimes weather intervenes. Sometimes there are other occurrences over which we have no, or my client has no control. However, when I spoke with Councilor McKenna and Councilor Guanasso about those unregistered vehicles, they swapped them out. Some of them, they replaced some of the old vehicles with new ones. So the old ones were still on the property. All of them are now new. They're registered, and they're in service. I spoke to Mr. Levandakis, who was also summoned to appear here by the City Council as a result of the notice from DCR. He's owned the building for quite a while, and he tells me, and he attempted to tell the council, that he didn't pave over the sidewalk. He sealed what was already there. It was asphalt. Apparently, there was a taking by the old MDC back in, I think it was 1958, and it was recorded at the Registry of Deeds in 1959. And MDC took a strip all along Revere Beach Parkway to create a sidewalk. Apparently, they didn't really install sidewalks as we would ordinarily recognize them to be, but they did lay it out in a plan, and Mr. Levandakis, who has told me a number of times that he didn't know. And when you look at what's down there, we have the curb cuts, we have the legitimate granite curb cuts on the public way to Revere Beach Parkway. It appears as though the whole thing is a parking lot. Now we know it's not. And so as we've been meeting with my client, the ownership of the center, and the owner of the building, they are dedicated to rectifying these situations. We don't want to be here as frequent flyers at the Revere City Council. As much as I personally like coming up here and speaking with my friends, I don't think that my clients share that position with me at all. So just to Councilor Novoselsky's point, and as well to Councilor Patch and Councilor Zambuto, there are 22 parking spaces. They are all striped. They were recommended by the site plan review and made a condition of the special permit that was granted when the center extended and took over the entire building in March of 2014. So the plans are on file with the fire department. They're stamped. They're accepted. And Lieutenant Maniff, who else the council wants to send down there, the building inspector and the health inspector, they're welcome to come. Claudia's there every day. Vicky can be there. And I think this is a situation, an activity that's well worthwhile. It's a benefit to the city. And I know it's a pain in the butt to the neighbors sometimes, and certainly to the councilors, but we're doing what we can.
Councilor McKenna.
Madam President, I would like just to ask a question. Are there parking spaces in front of the building? You said there were 22 parking spaces. Are there parking spaces in front of the building? Yes?
I'm trying to read
Oh,
this upside
no,
down.
they're saying yes in back of you.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry.
So
Yeah.
how many parking spaces are in the front of the building?
4?
4, okay.
Yes.
Speak in your,
Okay. Well,
Well, actually, councilors, so this is something that I think brought up many points tonight, and it's something that definitely needed to happen, and I'm glad it did happen. In my opinion, the most concerning issue with this is the fire lane. I think not only does it put your patients in danger, but it puts your staff in danger, so I want to see that addressed immediately. And because of that, this will be going to the Public Safety Subcommittee, where I hope that we can look into it further and continue to work on it, because it's something that I don't want to see be placed on file and die right here. Right. So for everyone's edification, it will be going to subcommittee, so we can speak on it further there if everyone's comfortable with that. Thank you.
we'd be happy to participate. Thank
Perfect,
you.
so this will be going to Public Safety.
Calendar item number 3, hearing called is ordered on an ordinance further amending the zoning ordinances of the City of Revere relative to the definition of a kennel.
Proponents for this hearing. Officer Malderosa.
Officer Melrose, Revere Police. Just in the past few months, I've noticed I've been doing responding to a lot of animal calls, and what I've noticed is there's been an increase of pit bull ownership, and unlicensed, and no rabies, and I've noticed a few residents have beyond 3, 4, which they are breeding, and I found that out from the neighbors. I've also seen it myself. My concern is the dogs. I end up picking them up. They're abandoned after they're no longer used. Right now, I'm working on a place on Argyle Street. They actually have 6. And they were seen by my detectives. There's one in each room, and neighbors have told me they've seen puppies in and out. And then someone else saw a kid selling one of the puppies for $50 in front of Dunkin' Donuts. So I spoke to them, and she said, no, we only have 3. And that's my issue. I have 3. I can't go in, and I go by all the time, and then I can cite them. And I also have some older citations that I found on Tony's desk. Back in 2013, up in Breeden's Lane, he has 4 dogs. We've picked him up 32 times, and he's been cited a total of $1,500, and he hasn't paid anything. Hasn't paid a dime. I have the old copies of the citations, and we still continue to pick his dogs up. I think Tony tried that before I got into the picture. He didn't get anywhere. I gave him another citation, but
Just a point of information, this is a public hearing, so we're hearing proponents right now, and then the council will be open in just a few moments. Thank you.
I'm done.
No, I was quieting the council. You're more than welcome to speak, officer.
That's basically, there's so many issues, the loose dogs and what I picked up before, unlicensed. I've managed to get a few rabies certificates sent to me, but with the amount, probably every other house I've been into the past 4 months has 1 to 3 pit bulls, and there's a few 5 and 6. No licensing, no rabies, nothing. So we're kind of at an issue. I'm really not sure how far to go. I know Tony's tried, but the past year, I think it's a huge increase. And then there's also, I'm working on Arcadia Street, there's a shed used just for breeding. He's been doing this for years, and just the past 6 months, I've received calls from people at the Atlantica and the St. George who sit on their deck and they see him. And it's the house that was just involved with the flooding, the ice problem there. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming before us, officer, and I'm sure she will be here for questions when we get to the council questions portion of the hearing. So thank you so much. I do appreciate it. Yep. Are there any other proponents here tonight to speak on this? Seeing and hearing none, we'll close that side of the hearing. Any opponents? Seeing and hearing none, we'll close that side of the hearing. Councilors. Councilor Guanasso.
In terms of her statement that she issued out $1,500 worth of fines and no one's paying on them, there's got to be some sort of law that requires them to pay this, or else you're not only paying your services and wasting your time, but the taxpayer's not being given a service because this person's in violation of our laws. So we have to make a summons, take out a summons for this person to go to court and pay these fines, restrict them to what they're doing. And in terms of the Arcadia Street where the illegal breeding's going on, I'm aware of that, and it's been going on for years, like you stated. And now we need to formulate laws to work on this. This is unacceptable.
Point of information. That's what this is all about, to bring this in under 40U so we'll have some teeth in the law so you can actually enforce the law.
That's a good point, and I appreciate your point of information. And so if this is the purpose, the intent of this particular public hearing, then I'm all for it, because we've had years of neglect of not being able to put the teeth into it to sanction these people financially. So that's the only way you're going to stop them. And so thank you very much for the hard work that you're doing to correct the situation, because there is a strong concern out there within the community with the pit bulls that are all over. And we know primarily there are maybe some households that have them as household pets. For all intents and purposes, that's not really the intent of a lot of the owners of these pit bulls.
Excuse me, can I speak? When they're left like this is what I just picked up.
Yeah, that's...
And the puppies, no food. And actually, someone from DCR called. I already was aware of it, but every time I went by, the dog was in the house. And you could tell it just had puppies. But it took me 2 months to get her to surrender this. And she was left out till the next morning.
Wow. Well,
So now I got her in a home.
I think we have to start sanctioning these people, because right now they're getting away with what they decide to
The
do.
neighbors called all summer long. And
Yeah, I'm sure they do. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Haas.
Thank you, Madam President. Would this allow in residential neighborhoods people to have dog kennels?
that I'd have to look into. Like I said, I'm just.
Yeah, because that's my main concern. I lived in Fenley Street, and on High Street, there were a bunch of dogs that barked and barked and barked, okay? And my daughter goes out and yells, etc., okay? Now, if an individual up there wants to breed, can they breed in that same area?
Just a quick point of information, Counselor. Officer Malderosa is here just for specific questions to the dogs. I don't know if she's an expert on the zoning and
Not really.
those portions of
All right,
this. So
maybe
it
in the
will be going to
subject area.
committee.
Okay.
Where we will have experts to discuss the actual pieces of the zoning, but she's here for any questions about the animals and to talk about the work that she does.
Okay.
Thank you.
But a permit is required to have a kennel. Kennel. Yep.
Absolutely. Counselor Keefe.
Thank you, Madam President. Thank you, Officer, for coming and talking about how you're doing. I have a ton of questions. I think a lot of these would be able to be answered by Anthony and Councilor Zambudo in committee. But just one question I had in regards to the citations you were showing and some of the stuff that's obviously illegal activity. It's illegal activity now. And most likely, if there was more zoning or approved zoning with it, it would be illegal activity then, correct?
Right.
And, so what would be the difference if we had more of an established, teeth in the law to what it is now? If we're not even able to, and you're doing your job certainly, and you're doing a very good job of that, but we're not really able to really do anything right now. What would be you don't know, right? The big difference?
It's tough.
Yeah. Would there be more, do you think there'd be
I
more?
mean, Tony's been given citations for,
Sure.
And you don't pay them, it's a waste.
If I can
I see
just
the one
offer
that's
that
yes.
same point of information again, Madam President. The purpose of this ordinance is to bring this under 40U so we can have teeth in the law and charge $500 a day for violations. This will substantially correct the problem, because if somebody's illegally breeding dogs, they're gonna, either them or the owner are gonna lose their house, because at $500 a day, it's gonna be a lot of money. So, I was asked to offer my expertise to this, to put this in play so we can actually have a law that works. That's what this is structured around. There's a lot of work to do on this in committee, as we said, and I'm going to continue to offer my expertise. However, I will not be voting on this ordinance, as it's a direct conflict of interest with what I do, is my showing dogs and breeding show dogs. So I won't be participating in the vote, but I will continue to offer all my knowledge, which is pretty substantial. And I was asked to help with this, and that's what I did. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor, and we will definitely be looking forward to your input when it goes to committee, when it goes to zoning, because we'll need as many sources as we can get on this. Counselor McKenna.
Thank you, Madam President. I just need to ask you a couple of questions, because I don't know. Are you the dog, the animal
I was
officer?
assisting.
Your assistant. So there's two of you? Okay, so you have a big job, officer. That's what it sounds like. Is there any direct association with the MSPCA or animal cruelty, or
They
do you
help
get
out.
involved with
I
that,
have
the animal
all the-
police?
I have a lot of people. To help
Okay,
out.
okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Counselor McKenna. Counselor Morbido.
Thank you, Madam President. Councilor Zambudo may not be able to vote on this, but I will be voting in favor for this, and I applaud Councilor Zambudo, because the pictures you showed me was a despicable act of inhumane example. It's an example of inhumane, it's just disgusting. And I think anything we can vote on in order to get a better handle, a better grasp on this situation is better off for the city, better off for dog owners, dog lovers. So I'm wholeheartedly in favor of this, and I commend Councilor Zambudo.
Thank you, Counselor Morbido. Counselor Novoselsky.
Thank you, Madam President. Through you to our friendly officer in blue. How many dogs are people allowed to keep in a house before they go into a kennel?
Right.
So you can have 3. I can understand of what you see, but my initial feeling is, why do we want to allow a special permit issue in a 2-family zone? What about every other zone in the city of Revere? there's people that could potentially have these illegal kennels in a single-family zone, in a multi-family zone. They're only allowed in a PUD locations, 1 and 2, and special permits in highway business and the TED zone. And now, here you have RA1, which is RA, which is single family. You have RB1, you have RC. Why don't we, stick, do something in there? Because I live in a 2-family zone, and I don't want legal kennels in my area. I don't want it. I don't want to hear them. I have 1 or 2 people now that have 3 animals in the house, and they're out in the yard at 5:30 in the morning. But I don't want to hear this, even if it's with a special permit and whatever requirements that, the council put in here as far as AKC, that only deals with show dogs. So, I have a problem with that. The fines that these people are not, why isn't the city pursuing putting liens on people's property when this is happening, instead of letting them get away with $1,500 worth of fines? The 40U is a nice program, but that's when people appeal a ticket, or a citation.
Well, that's what I'm trying to get done.
I don't know if this is going to solve the problem. I'm not convinced. But we'll look at it. We'll talk about it more in committee. If other information comes up that convinces me, fine and dandy. But right now, I'm not really convinced. I just don't want it in my neighborhood. Here you go, not in my backyard. Just because everybody else has it in their backyard illegally, or even if they had 3 animals back there and they're doing it legally. I'm not convinced even with these. It's just opening up a potential loophole for them to get away with something. And I don't know if that's the way I want to go. Thank you.
I just want to reiterate that the officer is here to specifically discuss what she does with the animals, not necessarily the zoning aspect of this. The zoning will all be taken up in depth in the zoning committee, but I don't want you, officer, to feel pressure to answer zoning questions. So you are here to offer your expertise on what you deal with and the things that you see in our city. So thank you. Councilor Patch.
Thank you, Madam President. First of all, I want to thank Julie for, I know how dedicated and serious she is, having the pleasure of working with her for a few years before I retired. And I used to see her, she adopted greyhounds. I could go on. She's very, very sincere in what she does. And as far as, I think the big issue here is when you find them. We had the same problem with the building inspection services. They were finding people, and the tickets were going nowhere. And we had to set up a program in order to get them paid. That's what we need, I think, and we have to work on this. That there's a system similar to the building inspector, because you do your hard work, and it must be tough for you. You have to go back to the same places over and over again. I know, I've been there, but I mean, but the thing is, that's what we'll work on. Hopefully, on this is to get a system in order that your hard work will be rewarded. I just one other question. As far as people breeding them, it's already against the ordinance, isn't it?
Yeah, 'cause they usually have over 3 in there. Yeah, no breeding of
So that's a violation. When you see that, you can't take the.
I haven't.
You having the authority to take the dogs?
It's not that easy.
Yeah. I wish it was, but
I do too.
yeah. Well, I tell you, we'll make,
They get rid of them at 3 weeks old.
right. Well, we'll try to make it easier for you, we hope, and we'll come up with a system that we heard them bad in the pocketbook, and, we can come to a conclusion here. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilor Patch. Councilor Zambudo, then Councilor Powers.
Thank you, Madam President. I just want to kind of clear this up, and I thank the officer because we put her under unneeded pressure because she had nothing to do with writing the ordinance. That was me, along with the city clerk, along with taking the state laws and applying them. So she's up here strictly to tell us that we have a problem in the city, and you did a great job of it. I'm sorry that you were getting questions that you're not
that's all right.
you're not qualified to answer
that's how
because
we're doing.
you didn't have part in it. But the bottom line on this, no matter what is the final product here, is it needs to be under the 40U so you can have enforcement, not so there'll be appeals, but so that you can charge $500 a day. You can't do that as it is right now. The way our ordinance is written now, it's a joke. It's one line. It doesn't do anything. There's no teeth. This is to put teeth in it. No matter what changes we make in committee or you make in committee, the bottom line is it needs to be under 40U. It needs to have the teeth to go after these people and stop this illegal dog breeding. Because most of it is gangbangers. I'll say the politically incorrect thing here. And that's what they're doing, is breeding vicious dogs and treating them inhumanely. And that's the biggest part of this. What they're doing to the animals is horrendous. So anyways, that's what this is all about. It's about solving a problem. It's not about somebody on High Street having a kennel, especially as someone that can't even vote on the issue.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Powers.
Thank you, Madam President. Just a couple of questions. Down on Arcadia, what's that, 102 or 104 Arcadia Street, the last house down on the left? Okay. Is that structure set up like a kennel with?
The shed.
Yeah, okay. And how many dogs are they keeping in there?
This was last year.
Yeah.
He has slots, probably about 6.
Okay, what
In a
type
section for the puppy.
what type of dogs are they?
Pits.
Pit bulls? Okay. Have we issued any fines?
No, because I just found this out. And now it's been empty the past few months since I've been doing this.
Maybe,
But all last year, tons of calls from the Atlantic and St. Joe.
maybe because of the cold, they're not keeping the dogs there.
I've been watching.
Yeah, okay. I would appreciate it if you would watch it, and if there are dogs in there, issue the fines. And I'm sure there's got to be some way, until something else is done, that these fines can be, after they're not paid, levied onto their tax bill. Okay? We do it, and we've done it in the past for other violations, trash violations, et cetera, before 40U. We've done it. Now, you mentioned something about Argyle Street. Is there a situation down on Argyle Street, too?
23 Argyle.
23 Argyle, that's, you get down, it's on the right. Okay.
Second one from
And what do they have down there?
the 6 pit bulls.
Pit bulls? 6? Really? Okay. Can we issue violations to them also?
Just starting.
Yeah. Okay. I would appreciate that. And if we have to issue them day after day after day until they get the message that these violations will have a chance of being levied onto their taxes as liens. And that's the way maybe they'll get the message, because I represent that area down there, and I knew about the place on Arcadia Street. In fact, I was down there last week. They had a flooding problem. But I wasn't aware of the place on Argyle Street. And I think anyone down there that's in violation, I don't care who they are, the fine should be issued, and I'll back you up 100% on it. Okay? Thank you very much. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you.
Madam President, I just got a point of information.
Sure, Councilor Patch.
Thank you. I just want the people out there to know, and my colleagues, that Julie is a full-time police officer, even though she has much love for animals. The dog officer, animal control, has been out. He's been out injured or whatever, or he's just come back. So you've been doing this only for full-time for like a couple of months. So I just want people aware
I
that,
always did it on the side.
and you certainly have.
That's why Tony can't stand me.
You certainly have. I witnessed it. But I just wanted,
can't help
I wanted everybody to know that you're, because usually the animal control is not a police officer. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor, and thank you, Officer, for being here, and I want to thank the Chief for giving us the leeway to have you come before us tonight, so I do appreciate that. I think this brings up a lot of important issues. You know, as of right now, our city ordinances don't match up with the state ordinances. In 2012, the state passed the Regulating Animal Control Act, so what we need to do is figure out a way to update our city ordinances to match the state ordinances, so when we have people that are treating these animals cruelly and breaking the law, we have a way of enforcement, and there are several things we're going to have to look at in zoning. Chapter 17 of our ordinances would be the zoning piece of it. Chapter 6 would be the animal portion of it. So I think that it's something that we're really going to have to dig deep in to make sure that it not only protects animals and their rights, but protects our residents and their rights to make sure that they have happy neighbors. So I look forward to working on this. Councilor Zambudo, you have one more point.
Madam President, one. I just wanted to mention that the city clerk has put a lot of work into this in conjunction with the 2012 laws, and that's why this is structured so that it fits the new state laws. And she deserves the credit because I gave a little expertise, but she did all the hard work. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you, Madam Clerk, for your help with this. I know you, as well as Julie, are animal lovers, as well as many of us up on the council. So I look forward to working on this, and I think it's something that we definitely need to work on because it's not something that we want a part of our community, and it's something that we want to be able to enforce and have Julie and the animal control officer to have some way to actually enforce this and to hold people accountable because it's not right. So thank you for coming before us tonight, and this will be going to zoning.
Madam President, we have suspension of rules. Take item number 7 out of order.
On suspension? All in favor, all opposed?
Calendar item number 7, communication from Joseph Bradford Hart requesting to withdraw his special permit application for 485 Beach Street without prejudice.
Sir?
Madam Chairwoman and City Council, I'm here before you to humbly ask that you please allow me to rescind my application, my petition for special permit.
Roll call, Madam Clerk.
President.
Shall the City Council allow the applicant to withdraw his special permit application C-16-01 without prejudice? Councilor Guanasso.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Haas. Yes. Yes. Councilor Keefe.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor McKenna.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Morbido.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Novoselsky.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Patch.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Powers.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Rotundo is absent. Councilor Zambudo.
Yes.
Yes. And Council President Janino.
Yes.
Yes. The special permit has been withdrawn without prejudice.
Thank you, Madam
very
President.
Back to the regular order of business.
Calendar item number 4, hearing called is ordered on the petition of Verizon for a joint pole relocation on Fernwood Avenue.
Is there a representative from Verizon? Place on file. All right. So since this is a public hearing, even though there is no representative present, we'll call any proponents. Seeing and hearing none, we'll close that side of the hearing. Any opponents? Seeing and hearing none, we'll close that side of the hearing. Councilors? There's a motion to place it on the table. Place on the table.
Calendar item number 5, this is unfinished business. Motion of Councilor Patch relative to the Shell gas station at 174 Squire Road.
Counselor Patch.
Thank you, Madam President. It's time to put this to rest here. I would request that I went by it this morning, and the repair place, I saw several cars with no plates. I've seen. I just want to forward it to the inspection services so they can just give us the whether it's they're breaking the codes or not, and also send it to as it reads. If you want to read the motion, I got it here. If you. Yeah, and then we'll just vote on it or do it. I want it to go to the. I want it to go forward.
That the mayor, on the motion, that the mayor request inspectional services and the police department traffic division to cite the owner of the Shell gas station at 174 Squire Road and the adjoining auto body repair shop 194 to 200 Squire Road for the following alleged violations. 1, vehicles for repair are being stored on the gas station lot and on Newman Street. 2, large trucks are possibly being permanently stored at the repair station. And 3, vehicles are traveling the wrong direction on Squire Road when being moved from the gas station to the repair station on the opposite corner of Newman Street.
The roll, Madam Clerk.
On the roll call, Councilor Guanasso?
No.
No. Councilor Haas? No. Councilor Keefe?
No.
No. Councilor McKenna?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Morbido?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Novoselsky?
No.
No. Councilor Patch?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Powers? Yes. Yes. Councilor Rotundo is absent. Councilor Zambudo? Yes. Yes. And Council President Janino?
Yes.
Yes, the motion is ordered.
What? No. It's
Calendar item number 6, report of the Ways and Means Subcommittee.
Counselor Powers.
Thank you, Madam President. This evening, there were 2 items on the calendar before the Ways and Means Subcommittee. The first one was a motion that was made by Councilor Rotundo that the mayor and the city council obtain an audit of all municipal offices to review the appropriations of grants, the allocation of no-interest loans, as well as the operation and procedures of all offices in city government as economically feasible. Further, that said audit be conducted by the state auditor as was previously performed on the DPW. Well, there was a representative from the mayor's office, his administrative assistant, came up here this evening and informed the Ways and Means Committee that, in fact, what they were doing was doing a very intensive audit themselves. Right now, they would be coming before the City Council, reporting back to us with regard to advising us what departments they wanted audited and what procedures they wanted put in effect through those audits, and also giving us a dollar amount on what that audit would cost. I mean, the audits are they're not cost-free. They do come with a cost associated with them. So I believe what the mayor is trying to do is determine what departments, in all probability, do not need to be audited, and what departments he feels need to be audited to reduce the cost of the overall audit, and also to be as effective as possible with the audit. So we voted this evening to leave that in committee until the mayor and his staff come back with the appropriate information for the committee. The second item was a motion that was
presented by Councilor Rotundo that the city establish an ordinance creating a municipal facilities fund in which 10 to 20% of the certified free cash be transferred to the fund on an annual basis. And I know that right now we have 15% of the money from free cash going into a reserve account, and that's a fine thing, but I think to take another 20% and designate that to a facilities fund it would sort of be tying the mayor's hands, because he knows that he is going to be looking at creating an overall assessment of all of the city buildings and make a determination as to exactly what needs to be done with the facilities and buildings in the city with regard to maintenance. So that is being reported out unfavorably from the Ways and Means Committee.
Thank you, Councilor. So seeing that the maker of both motions is not present tonight, we will be holding these until the next meeting.
That's fine.
Calendar item number 8, communication from the mayor relative to the appointment of J. Masterson Construction Corporation as a licensed drain layer.
Appointments? All in favor, all opposed? So ordered.
Calendar item number 9, communication from the city solicitor relative to the special permit revocation for Revere Adult Day Healthcare Center and Wonderland Dog Track Parking Lot License.
Motion to place on file? All in favor, all opposed? So ordered.
Calendar item number 10, communication from the Lottery Commission relative to the installation of a KENO monitor at Bread and Basket, 535 Broadway, Revere, Mass.
Is there a motion on the floor? So we'll leave this on, place it on file. All in favor, all opposed? Placed on file.
Calendar item number 11, communication from the mayor relative to an ordinance further amending the zoning ordinances of the city of Revere floodplain districts.
So this is something that we need to approve by March 15th, so this will be going to a public hearing. All in favor, all opposed? So ordered. So we're on to the motions portions of the meeting. Councilor Rotundo is ill and is not in attendance tonight, so we will be holding any of his motions. I spoke with several councilors that had joint motions with him, and they also were comfortable with holding those. So any motions that he made will be held until the next meeting of March 7th. Madam Clerk.
Calendar item number 13, motion presented by Councilor Keefe that the mayor request the Traffic Commission to amend Schedule 9 of Title 10 resident parking areas of the revised ordinances of the city of Revere by including Haskell Avenue. This motion is being made due to the resident parking restrictions both Everett and Chelsea have in place, which in turn impacts the available parking for residents on the Revere portion of Haskell Ave.
Councilor Keefe.
Thank you, Madam President. This motion, as you can see, tonight talking to, in regards to some other issues, parking continues to become a major issue in the city. Obviously not just on Haskell Ave, but considering that Everett is a shared street with Haskell, Everett has overnight resident permanent parking only, and neighboring Haskell Ave is Chelsea. So it's surrounded by communities that have currently have resident permit parking. And residents on that street are being inundated with cars from the neighboring cities overnight that are taking the few spots that are on the one-sided parking parts of Haskell. Over the last few months, I've gotten a number of calls during a few community meetings as well. The residents there are looking for some change. I do want to applaud the police department for helping to regulate and make sure that the one-sided parking is being enforced. But the resident permit parking is something I think that would help mitigate this issue. And as a matter of fact, I know that this isn't part of the motion, but I would seriously ask my fellow councilors to look at this to be something more of a citywide motion down the road, or some more conversation in regards to doing the citywide. I know that there's going to be people that are not going to be in favor of this right off the bat, but it's something that when we do it, if we rip the bandage off, it's going to help the city. It's going to really, it's going to solve a lot of problems, because I think the number of calls that we all get, such a high percentage have to do with parking. And in speaking to Captain Giannino, Sergeant, pardon me, speaking to Sergeant Giannino, Sergeant Giannino, pardon me, he informed me that the highest percentage of calls that the police department receives has to do with parking. So I would ask that everyone take a look at this, and Haskell Ave be added on to the resident permit parking program.
Thank you, Councilor. And since this also affects Councilor Patch's ward, I'm going to call on Councilor Patch.
Thank you, Madam President. Seeing I share with Councilor Keefe 6 and 4, I don't know why, don't ask me why, but I do. And what we did do in the past, just recently too, Councilor Reardon and myself had a motion when there was a problem with parking on both sides down there, and we set up a meeting with the Traffic Commission, and we brought up the point of having the resident parking with also the one side of the street parking. And they approved the one side of the street parking, but they didn't, they said they'd discuss the resident parking. And I talked to Sergeant Giannino and Chief Doherty today, and they, for some reason, they didn't go along with the resident parking. But I would like, if it's all right with my colleague, Councilor Keefe, to send it back to the Traffic Commission and try to fight for it again, because as he stated, Councilor Keefe stated that, you know, it is a real odd situation there where you have resident parking. It's the street runs Revere, Everett, Chelsea, and it's really it's unfair to the Revere residents, because Chelsea and Everett have the resident parking and overnight, and they are parking. Those people in Everett and Chelsea are parking in the Revere section because they can. So I think we got to go to the back to the Traffic Commission, and maybe fight a little harder to get them to approve this. They don't, for some reason, they don't like to do. It's hard to get this resident parking passed, but hopefully we can succeed. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilor. So I think that this motion definitely opens up a larger conversation about parking, resident parking, which is an issue citywide. I know Councilor McKenna faces it in her ward, as well as many other councilors. So this will be sent to the Traffic Commission. All in favor, all opposed? So ordered.
Calendar item number 14, motion presented by Councilor Haas, that the mayor request the superintendent of public works to report to the city council on whether or not outside water meters will be allowed under the new water meter system.
Councilor Haas.
Thank you, Madam President. As you all know, 20 years ago, when I happened to be mayor, we instituted the first in the state outside water meters. What this did is it saved taxpayers in Revere a tremendous amount of money, because you're only paying for the water that you use, no sewage at all. And I just want to make sure that with the cost escalating of water and sewage, that we protect our citizens, that they do still offer an outside water meter. And that's basically it.
Thank you, Councilor. Would you like this to go before the Public Works Subcommittee so he could come before us for that, or would you like him to come before the council as a whole?
As a whole, yeah, absolutely.
Are there any other councilors that wish to speak on this? Councilor Morbido,
I have no objection with it going before the council as a whole.
as the Chairman of Public Works. Thank you. So, all in favor, all opposed? So ordered.
Calendar item number 15, motion presented by Councilor Haas that the mayor requests the Police Department Traffic Division to increase the timing of signalization on Malden Street for vehicles entering onto Broadway. Further, that Mass DOT and the Traffic Commission be requested to complete a study on the timing of traffic signalization along North Shore Road from Wonderland to Mills Avenue. The traffic signalization has been decreased significantly, causing traffic jams at all times of the day.
Councilor Haas.
Thank you. Madam Chairperson, once again, we have the intersection of Broadway and Malden Street next to Domino's Restaurant. When you come out of Domino's from Malden Street, it only allows 4 cars to go by. And what happens is, as the cars are coming down northbound on Broadway, they back up to the signalization. So you only have 4. And anyone that traverses that area knows firsthand that traffic is bottlenecked up after school and throughout the evening. Also in North Shore Road, you have the same problem. Cars exiting Revere Street going left at Ocean Ave, okay? They have the same problem. Only 4 cars get up. And I believe it's a scheme by the Commonwealth of Mass to have the vehicles exit Boston in a faster rate of speed and allow us residents in Revere to be bottlenecked in the traffic. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Haas. So we will send this to the Traffic Commission. All in favor, all opposed? So ordered.
Calendar item number 16, motion presented by Councilor Haas that the mayor be requested to convene a meeting with Inspectional Services, Department of Public Works, and the Police Department to discuss enforcement of the city ordinances as it pertains to storefront signage and advertising. A-frame signage, window coverings, balloons, and transient vendors have been a concern as of late, which is the reason for the submission of this motion.
Councilor Haas.
Thank you, Madam President. Once again, the city has a lot of laws, ordinances, and issues that the city council gets involved with. They have to be enforced. Just 2 weeks ago, up at Bell Circle, we had an array of H&R Block signs at a newly done facility up there. There were balloons up there. I happened to call up Nicky Catazzoni, and he indicated that's not his position. It's up to DPW. So everyone's passing the buck. Okay, so Donnie happened to go up there one Friday afternoon and pick the ball up. He told the proprietor of the establishment that's not allowed. Now, you go down to Revere Street, Malden Street, you see a dumpster outside a variety store down there. You see all this stuff that I don't think is acceptable in our city. There's your facade, you're only allowed 10%, and some of the places have 90% of advertising. So if the right hand doesn't know what the left hand's doing. So what I'm saying here is I want to have the mayor convene a meeting with DPW, the Building and Health Department, and the Police Department, because they were giving away free Obama phones down the subway last Friday. And I got involved in that. I don't know how, but I got involved with it. And what happened was I called the police department up. They come down, and they didn't know what the issue was. The issue was if they're going on someone's property, they don't have permission, they still have to have a transient vendor license as they sell flowers. So these people, 2,000, excuse me. So these people just take Revere for granted because we're not forcing the issue. And I think it's about time we force the issues. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilor Haas. Councilor Keefe.
Thank you, Madam President. It's funny, Mr. Haas, I actually called the police department as well on that Friday. I actually did consult with our clerk as well in regards to the transient vendor license. It was funny that the 2 of the callers were counselors that happened to drive by the Subway / Domino's restaurant. And the first answer was that they were allowed by the owner. And you know, I understand the police department doesn't know each and every bylaw of the city, nor would I expect them to. But you know, I talked to the person in charge at Domino's, and it was a young man, and He said, I didn't allow them, but I think he was afraid to say he did. And basically, what Mr. Hass is saying is people are doing things in our city with no regard for our ordinances, with no regard for our bylaws, because we're not really enforcing it enough. And I'm not saying that people aren't doing their job, certainly not saying that, but what I think has to happen is we need to come down with a little bit of a firmer fist, because one of my first motions presented had to do with signage. Come to find out, we have many of these ordinances in place, but no one seems to follow them. So if we're going to allow that, it has to do with every motion we talk about tonight, whether it's kennels. We have to enforce everything that's going on in our city. We have to be able to do that. So I empower the mayor to champion his staff to make sure that this is being done, and I really appreciate Councilor Hass for presenting this motion.
Thank you, Councilor. So I believe that this meeting would be a great opportunity to have in a subcommittee. I would recommend that this go to the Legislative Affairs Subcommittee so that we can discuss this further. And I think that it is in direct correlation with Councilor Keefe's motion referring to the mannequin that was on Broadway just a few weeks ago. I think we're all sick and tired of seeing things like that pop up in our city. So I'm going to send this to Legislative Affairs.
Calendar item number 20, motion presented by Councilors Morabito and McKenna that the mayor request the DPW to install a blinking yellow sign, 2 poles before the stop sign, which is located on Winthrop Avenue at the intersection of Summer Street. The stop sign at this location is not easily visible to drivers, and warning signage would caution drivers in this dense residential area heavily traveled by pedestrians and children.
Thank you. So we'll call on Councilor Morabito and then Councilor McKenna.
Thank you, Madam President. I would like City Clerk Melnick to change the verbiage and have it read, instead of install a blinking yellow light, to install a stop sign ahead signage. Basically, I put it in this motion because a constituent called me and told me how there are vehicles that travel right through the intersection. They do not stop. Because of the incline on Winthrop Ave, the stop sign sneaks up on them, and it's not visible to them. So I think to have a sign prior to that stop sign, just to warn them to slow down, I think that would be beneficial to the residents in that area.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor McKenna.
I live on Winthrop Ave, right near this intersection, and I have to say that they don't follow the stop signs, and maybe because they don't see them, but they rush right through the intersection. And it's very heavily populated with pedestrian kids, so I agree with Steve and Mr. Morabito that there should be some sort of warning before the stop sign. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Novoselsky.
Thank you, Madam President. Point of information through you to Councilor McKenna. Is this right near the old fire station? Right afterwards? Can I make just a suggestion not to put a blinking yellow light? If you can take that out altogether?
Point of information, I just changed the verbiage.
Well, I didn't know if that was in place or not. But let me also recommend to you that we ask DPW to put a stop bar in the street and the giant word "stop" right in the middle of the street when they do the painting of the lines and stuff. So,
I think that's a great suggestion, yeah.
thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. So on the motion as amended, to install a stop sign ahead as well as stop painted on the pavement, all in favor? All opposed? So ordered.
Calendar item number 21, motion presented by Councilor Guanasso that the mayor request the Traffic Commission to install a handicap parking sign at 266 Cushman Ave at the request of the resident.
Keeping the Traffic Commission busy. Councilor Guanasso.
Well, I'm hoping that my record improves with the Traffic Commission, so I figure if I hit them with 1,000 motions, maybe I'll get 2 approved. But this is the request of the resident who lives at 266 Cushman. There isn't a driveway, and he has a placard on his automobile allowing for such a service to be placed in front of his property. So I asked that the Traffic Commission work on this and do this as soon as possible. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Counselor. On the motion, all in favor, all opposed? So ordered.
Calendar item number 22, motion presented by Councilor Powers, that the mayor request the DPW to inspect the source structure and cover in front of 37 Alice Street to determine why the cover is displaced during plowing. Further, that the necessary repairs be made to prevent this happening in the future. This has happened several times in the past and is a danger to the general public.
Counselor Powers.
Thank you, Madam President. As the motion said, this has happened several times in the past. And I believe the cause of this, being a layperson, not an engineer, but I believe being the cause of this every time it snows, I believe the lip of the cover is not being seated properly on the structure. The plow picks it up, throws it to the side, and we've been so fortunate that no child or person has fallen into that open sewer cover. It's in front of 37 Alice Street. I had the DPW come down. I noticed they put a plate on it and a barrel, but I think the main thing to do is get that sewer cover replaced, even if they have to rebuild the structure, because God forbid if someone could go down there at 8 or 9 o'clock at night and you wouldn't know they were down there probably till the next morning or a day later. And we'd lose somebody, and the city'd be wide open for liability on an issue like that. So, this has happened several times last year and this year, and I just hope that this will take a priority on the mayor's infrastructure repairs as soon as the weather permits. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Counselor. On the motion, all in favor, all opposed? So ordered. At this time, I would just like to wish Counselor Rotundo well. I look forward to a spirited meeting upon his return on March 7th. We're all thinking of him, wishing him the best. I also want to remind people that there will be a special election on March 1st, so please do not forget to get out and vote. The election will be held again on March 1st. If you have questions about where to vote or polling locations, please contact your city councilor or the election commission. Any councilors at large, we're all available for that information. If there are no further business, we will adjourn this meeting until March 7th. Thank you and have a great night.